Hello, welcome to the Mean of Tarot channel. In this video, we will try to examine and solve the issue of not being able to interpret the meanings of the cards despite knowing them. First, we will address this question. Then, I will provide bonus information about the Five of Wands and the Gardens card. If you're ready, let's begin and enjoy the show. Before we dive into the video, I want to emphasize the importance of this topic. I felt the need to create a detailed video because many people are experiencing this issue. I often receive this question in my teachings. I know the meanings of all the cards, but I struggle with interpretation. What should I do? In tarot, there are no fixed stages. There is no hierarchy like memorizing card meanings first, then moving on to interpretation, and finally completing the training. It's not possible to learn the meanings of all the cards. For example, when it comes to the Five of Wands, I could talk about it for hours or write pages about it. Simply memorizing the meanings of the cards doesn't mean you fully understood them. I have been studying tarot and related subjects for 15 years, and I'm still trying to learn new things. Learning the cards is not a one-step process. It's a lifelong journey. Therefore, don't think of learning the cards first and then interpreting them. That's not the way to progress. Let's get to the main point here. So, you're saying you know the meanings of the cards. That's how it's put. Honestly, when I first started learning tarot, I didn't have this intention of doing in-depth tarot readings. Tarot was just a curiosity for me. But I also encountered some difficulties in this regard, and at one point, I was coming to this. Yes, I know the meanings of the cards, but interpreting them is a bit difficult. Because interpretation is a system that evolves depending on the time you spend with tarot and tarot cards. Let me give a brief example. When we talk about the Five of Wands, many people can say a few sentences about this card. So even someone who has never dealt with tarot or looked at tarot before can come up with a few sentences when you show them this card. There are different people. They're in conflict, fighting. Everyone says these things. When you receive training, or when people like me who think similarly receive training, we add a few specific pieces of information about this card, and then we move on. By the way, it has to be like this. So, finding all the meanings and all the characteristics of the cards in one place is really difficult, and it requires an incredible amount of training. This is something that will be corrected with a little more experience, time, and exposure to these cards. Actually, returning to our topic, when we become a little more interested, we know a little more than someone who knows nothing, and therefore, it's not quite sufficient for this interpretation part. So, we need to be a little honest about this. For me to make a successful and complete interpretation, is this a court card? Is it a major arcana or a minor arcana? What's the difference between these two? In which series of the minor arcana does it belong? And what are the elements of wands, cups, etc.? What are the relationships between the elements? What's the numerological meaning of the number 5? What do the symbols on the card tell me? How does the meaning of this card change depending on the changes in the cards to its right and left? What does the color harmony on the card mean? And what meaning does it add when combined with different cards? Also, which zodiac sign does it represent astrologically, and what does this sign mean in this card? What should it say? There are many questions like these. The more you master these, the better interpretations you can make, and you can diversify your interpretations. So, you need to pay special attention to this topic, and when you do that, you will see this development yourself. So, what you're saying about interpretation is actually something that develops naturally. It's not a milestone you reach. One day, you'll find yourself able to do it, interpret, establish connections between the cards, and as you gain more knowledge about the cards, this will only increase. Now, I'm saying all this, but you might rightfully ask, so, what should we do then? Do I have to spend hours studying and memorizing these 78 cards before I can do tarot readings? Should I not even bother getting into this? Of course, that's not the case. What we really need to do is give ourselves time. You absolutely need to understand that this will come with time. It's not something that will happen overnight. Besides, the more familiar you become with the cards, the better your interpretations will naturally become. But not in the wrong sense. For example, if you've learned 30% of the cards, your interpretation will reflect that 30%. But as you increase that to 50%, your interpretation will be at that level, and you need to continuously research for this. It's not just about getting training and then stepping aside. Look, for instance, I'm making these videos. That's actually the purpose of making these videos. If you're interested in this field, you'll surely come across something on YouTube or elsewhere, and you'll gain something. For example, I mentioned that I would provide bonus information. By the end of the video, you'll have learned something about the Five of Wands, and as you encounter different cards and different information about them, things will continually shape in your mind. The reason I say tarot is a lifelong journey is precisely this. It's never a matter of, I've finished learning this, I can put it aside. It's a constant, ongoing process. You always need to keep researching and learning. As you learn, things will become clearer and clearer for you. I wanted to make this video for those who are confused about this topic. You need to give yourself time in this regard and remember that progress is cumulative. You'll get better with time. So, you need to regularly watch people who do different readings. You need to know how they approach the cards, what they say about them. You need to acquire specific, special information about the cards. You need to pay attention to the signs, teachings within the cards. If you're just starting to learn tarot, you need to allocate a certain time of your day to learning the cards. That's all for my video. It's actually a simple topic, but I wanted to explain it in detail to ensure everyone pays enough attention. This way, some awareness can be raised, and you can get rid of this hopelessness. There's no such thing as I've learned, but I can't do it. I especially emphasize that we must never give up in this regard. You need to persevere, and you really need to love this. You need to love talking to the cards. Once you achieve this, believe me, the rest will progress much faster. Before you know it, you'll find yourself making beautiful interpretations, communicating with the cards, establishing a connection with them. Now let's move on to the bonus part, as I mentioned, where I'll give you some additional insights about the Five of Wands and the Garden's card. First of all, remember that wands are inherently mental, belonging to the element of fire, and everything within the wand series has not yet materialized into reality. Therefore, the conflict and noise here are actually entirely within ourselves, within our inner world, our thoughts. Of course, when combined with different cards, it may shed light on situations in our physical world, but generally, it's primarily a clash of ideas. Whether we're looking at an internal struggle or within a relationship, it's a psychological battle within that relationship. There are a few points you need to pay attention to here. As you can see, there are 5 people here, and each of their shoes is completely different. So, if you see them as representing different ideas, different thoughts, the structure holding them up is different for each, and these people aren't harming each other. There's no tendency to harm. If you notice, none of these wands are colliding with each other. So, there's actually no situation of anyone hitting another. It's all movements made just to stir things up, you could say. Therefore, it would be good not to forget this when making your interpretations. Just differences in ideas, verbal arguments, I'd say. It indicates a lack of physical violence and generally signifies the conflicts we can settle in our minds, yet we choose not to. In the other part, I'll talk about the Garden's card in the tarot. Here, it has some specific meanings that I've already mentioned in my teachings, such as indicating the possibility of someone new entering our lives. It also suggests the need to attend more gatherings, such as events and parties. But besides that, remember this. The Garden's card also speaks of care. A garden is something meticulously crafted, something you put effort into. You tend to it, arrange it with suitable colors, plant suitable flowers and plants, and you need to be constantly working on it. So it requires care. So when you see the Garden's card, always keep in mind in the background that whatever it is, it's been done with care. When you ask yourself, what does person X think of me? And you see the Garden's card, always think in the background that this person values you. Of course, the subsequent cards that come up may lead to a different interpretation, but fundamentally, remember this. So we can say that the Garden's card is actually talking about a relationship or a project done with care, done meticulously. All right, that's it for my video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it beneficial. Hopefully, things have become a bit clearer for you. I hope I've earned the time you've dedicated to me. You can follow my Mean of Tarot Instagram account. You can reach out and take care of yourselves. I hope to see you in another video. Goodbye for now.